Hello and welcome to our latest screencast looking at cross-sections. This is one of the hardest things to understand in relation to Ordnance Survey maps. But the reality of it is when they're going to be asking you about it, they're going to be asking you some fairly straightforward questions. And so what we're going to look at is how we can go about demonstrating and understand the construction of a cross-section and how we can complete annotate cross-sections indicating height and like how steep a slope is and any patterns that there are. So first off, we've got two things to actually consider. The first thing is why do we do it? And the simple reason behind why we do it is it allows us to actually see patterns and see what the Earth looks like. Now, this is a fairly kind of common example you're looking at here. This is one of the Tour de France routes this year. This is a 194-kilometre piece of cycling which they're going to be doing. And to see how tough it is, they've cut it in half and then actually drawn a cross-section to show the kind of thing where the cyclists are going to be going. And what you can see here is they're climbing from 150 kilometres, they're climbing from 290 metres up to 2001 metres. Now that's a fairly big climb, and that's what they're showing here with these red lines, is to show the actual steepness and the categories of the climbs. And then they go down the hill, and then they go up another hill. And it gives you an idea of the kind of ideas, but that's why it's done at the end of the day. It's so that you can actually see these patterns. And it's just trying to find out how these are actually going on. So, give you a couple of examples. This is one example of an OS map, and on this you can see that the contour lines are really close together. Steep mountains in the area, closer contours, steeper the gradients that there are. And it's important that you're just aware that how these patterns actually work. Okay, this is another example. Here the contour lines are much further apart, and so this is showing a less steep area, and it's showing that the gradient is less steep and you've got much smoother. If you can barely see any contours at all, that means it's basically flat. So you've got these different patterns, and there's some areas of the country which again would be considered like that. So this is the last of these slides, and we just wanted to talk about a couple of things on this. A is how you do it. The easiest way to draw a cross-section is you have a line drawn across your map, and then what you have to do is once you've got that line is you lay a piece of tracing paper or graph paper across the top of it, and then you can start drawing in the pattern of it. And that's exactly what they've done here, with the distance along the bottom, which matches exactly the distance between A and B, and then the height in metres up the side. And you could get asked to not draw the whole thing, but they might give you like this little bit here and say, right, there's 2 bits missing, can you complete it? And so they might ask you to complete a cross-section in the exam. The more likely thing which they're going to ask you to do is some of these questions below here. Mark and name the features along the cross-section. So you've got place fell, you've got bed ahead, you've got a river running through here that you can see. You would have Galk Hill up here as well, which is the last point here. They might ask you to shade a certain area using a key that they've given you, but this is the most likely thing which they're going to ask you to do. What is the highest point? Well, the highest point, you just find that and then trace it across. It's just like reading a graph. Again, same for the lowest point. What is the steepest slope? Well, the steepest slope is the point between where you've got the shortest distance along the bottom and the highest climb up here. So this is probably going to be your steepest slope here. But you can tell this from your contour lines because it's the ones where they're the closest together. Okay, and as long as you can see that, it's fine. Which feature is a rounded hill? Well, this is a rounded hill because it's round at the top and then it flows its way down. This is also technically round as well. And which feature is a steep-sided ridge? Well, you've got your steep-sided ridge right here. Okay, so you can see the different features. Hopefully this has helped you get an interpretation of a cross-section.